Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. In this video our focus is on learning goal. I can find the distance between any 2 points on a grid using Pythagorean theorem. So I don't have a grid in front of us to display these points. I could graph them, but I'm not going to. We're just going to give you the coordinates of those points and then we're going to find the distance between them using the formula over here. So recall that given 2 points, x1, y1 and x2, y2, the distance between these points is given by the formula d equals the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So let's go ahead and just work through a couple of these just to see what it looks like. So the very first problem, we want to find the distance between the points 2, 3, so that'll be x1, y1, and 4, 7, which will be x2, y2. And now all we're really doing is just practicing using this formula. So the distance is given by d equals the square root, and now we're just going to take everything and plug it into this formula over here. So we take the difference in the x coordinates, 4 minus 2, x2 minus x1 is 4 minus 2. We subtract the x coordinates. We take that answer and square it. And we subtract the y coordinates. y2 minus y1 squared is 7 minus 3 squared. All right, now let's go ahead and just simplify this. We've got the square root of 4 minus 2 is 2, so we have 2 squared, plus 7 minus 3 is 4, so we have 4 squared. We just keep simplifying this. Now we know that 2 squared is 4, 4 squared is 16, so we can write this as d is the square root of 20. Now, if you've learned a little bit of algebra ahead of this, you could also simplify this radical, but we haven't really learned about that yet, so I'm going to leave that there. But just in case you're really curious, you could simplify this down to 2 root 5. But again, if that doesn't make sense, just move on to the next one. That's okay. You can ask me about that in more detail in person if you're curious, if you're in my math class. But anyway, let's jump to the next problem. We're going to find the distance between the points -3, -9, and -1, -2. We employ that distance formula again. We take the square root of, now we take the x coordinates and subtract them and square it. So we take -1, so I'll label these again, x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, so x1's -3, y1's -9, x2's -1, y2 is -2. So what we need to do for this formula is we need to take x2 minus x1. That's -1 minus -3. So notice I put parentheses around the negative. Those are very important. And then I square that. Plus, now we take -2. We take the y coordinates and we subtract them. -2 minus -9. So in this example, I purposely used more negatives just to make the simplification a little more dicey. Everybody can always use a little bit more practice with negatives. And so we get d equals the square root. Let's go ahead and just clean up some of this here. We have -1 minus -3. So when I see these two negatives, what that really means is this negative becomes a plus. So really we have -1 plus 3 all squared. So this is really -1 plus 3 squared. -1 plus 3 would be 2. So we have 2 squared plus, now we have -2 minus -9. So the two negatives become a plus. And we ultimately have, negative 2 plus 9, which would be positive 7 squared. I'll erase a little bit of this. Oops. I'll just redraw it. But yeah, so now we've got the square root of 2 squared plus 7 squared, and we can just simplify this. The square root of 2 squared would be the square root of 4, plus 7 squared is 49, and then 4 plus 49 is the square root of 53. So in other words, we have d equals the square root of 53 as our answer. So just to kind of give some approximations of our answers, the square root of 20 is somewhere between 4 and 5, so maybe 4.5-ish. The square root of 53 is going to be between 7 and 8, so maybe it's like 7.2 or 7.3 or something like that. Or you could use a calculator to get more exact, or not more exact, but a better idea of what these numbers actually are in decimal form. But anyway, that's it for this video, and we'll see you in another one.